It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hello, I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman this week on the Forum. It's brought to you by Hayes Med. And this week our guest is Dennis Vine. He's a retired fire chief from Ellis. We want to welcome him to the show today. An Ellis fire chief that's retired. Now, how's that feel, being retired?
Well, it's different.
Does it feel like you still want to go in every day, though? I would think when people retire, they still want to go in and kind of help out.
Sure, and I'm always curious on what's going on, because that's kind of the big thing. I've known whatever's going on in the whole county, for years, and all of a sudden I don't know what's going on. And
you
that's
probably
different.
still try to keep up, though, at the donut shop, don't you?
Yes, yeah.
Or try to go in a little bit. Let's talk about your history. How long were you fire chief?
Fire chief?
Yeah.
I was 4 years.
For 4 years. Mm-hmm. But how long have you been in maybe the fire department over there?
I got on in 1973, so that makes 43 years.
43 years as a fire person.
As a fire, and then assistant chief, like 22 years.
It's a long time, so you know about this fire a lot, or these fires a lot, and you've probably seen them change quite a bit over the years, haven't you?
Oh, there's been tremendous change in the fire service, and I could go on forever talking about all the changes, but it's all for the good. It's safety. Everything is so much healthier and safer today than what it was 43 years ago when I got on.
Well, let's talk about the change in the fires here in just a moment. What I want to do is I want to go back a little bit. What made you become interested in becoming a fireman?
When I was 20, I started my own body shop, so I had a business in Ellis, and I thought, if you're going to be live in Ellis and have a business in Ellis, you need to be do something for the community. And I was asked to join the fire department. I never thought about it before, but I thought, well, this is a good way to give back to the community.
And it was, and you probably made some really good friends over the years by being in that fire department.
Hundreds, yeah. I made so many friends from the fire department. Since I've been on the 43 years, I added it up, and there's 20 people on the fire department at all times. And so I'm out of the 19 that was on when I got on, they're retired or passed on. So I've been on with 109 different Ellis City firemen.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of different people that's been on the department and then got off since I've still stayed on.
Now, things have changed a little bit, but the name kind of stays the same. The last name, I should probably say, stays the same. Because your son, you've handed him off. He is now the new fire chief.
Right, and I'm real proud to say, my son is now the new fire chief, yeah.
And so he could probably keep you up on the gossip and what's going on too.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, now over the years, fires have changed. Fires are the same, but the way you guys fight fires is totally different.
Totally different.
And the vehicles that you use, totally different as well. Let's go back a little bit. Talk about some of those early years, what you had to deal with and had to work with as opposed to now.
When I first got on, they only had a hose people or a hydrant people or a pump operator. And when I joined, the chief said, well, what do you want to be? And I said, I don't care what you want or what you need. He said, we really need a driver. The driver is the one who retired. So I took over from day one being the truck driver, pump operator. And that's the best job in the world, because I would drive the truck to the fire and get a water supply going and run the pump, and then the hosmen would be the ones putting the water out, putting the water on the fire, and they're getting all the credit, but I'm sitting back where it's nice and clean and non-smoky, and they're in there getting all dirty.
Wow, that's got to be some big. The equipment has changed quite a bit over the years too.
It has, and one thing, when I got on, we had a siren that goes off, we'd run station, hop on the truck. I'd drive if I was the first one there, but there were several of us that could drive. But everybody else would just pile on the back of the truck or hop on the side of the truck, and we would drive to the fire with the fireman riding on the back or the side of the truck. And then Kansas came out this law where you have to wear a seatbelt, and those days are over.
You remember those in the old movies, seeing those where the firemen are hanging on, like you used to do. And now you guys get in, and you have a lot more safety. You've got a lot more safety equipment now too, not just the seatbelts,
sure,
but the equipment that you wear too.
Yeah, and we wear SCBA into the fire, so you don't want to breathe the smoke and the fumes. And when I got on, we didn't. There was a couple in the back of the truck, but they were never used.
Wow, so it has changed a lot, and probably the stuff that you wear, the gear you wear, is probably a little bit more fire retardant as well.
Yeah, when I got on, we had a helmet and a black trench coat and red rubber gloves, and we just wore your pants or shoes that you had on when the fire rang. So you could be in the middle of the winter and you're spraying water in your dress shoes. So not a pleasant thing to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break because I want to come back and we're going to talk to you about some of the memories that you have from all the years of being a fireman and some of the things that you've seen over the years. So we'll be back with you on the second half of the show. Again, our guest today is Dennis Vine. He is the retired Ellis Fire Chief, and this show is being brought to you by Hayes Med. It's The Forum. I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman this week.
Hayes Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hayes Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hayes Med, helping people be healthy.
Are you frustrated with Wi-Fi dead zones in your home? It happens when you don't have Pulse, the cutting-edge Wi-Fi solution from Eagle Communications. A Pulse-certified Eagle technician maps your home, then installs a dual-band modem and router, plus discrete access points to deliver wall-to-wall Wi-Fi with no dead zones. Pulse powers all your family's devices in all the places you love to live. Get Pulse. Wi-Fi made simple. Only from Eagle Communications. Call today.
Welcome back to The Forum. It's brought to you by Hayes Med. I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman. By the way, if you've got any show ideas or questions about the show, Gary would love to hear from you about it. It's gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. You can email him. Again, that's gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. Our guest this week on The Forum is Dennis Vine. He is a retired fire chief from Ellis, spending a lot of years over in Ellis and a lot of years fighting fires, and I'm sure you've got a few of them that are memorable. And without giving any names of people that were involved, because sometimes some of those memories stick with you a long time, sometimes bad, sometimes good. Can you think of some of those memories that you want to relive right now and kind of tell us about? Something that sticks out.
Sure. When I was on the fire department one year, it was I was in the middle of the night, the siren goes off and I go get in the fire truck, and I remember driving over this little bridge on 11th Street and came across the bridge and I could see the whole west end of Ellis was lit up. And I thought, oh my goodness, I've never seen any big fire like that in my life. And pulled up to the front of the house and get a water supply, and we get the hose off the truck and start spraying water. And here comes two firemen back to the truck. And I'm just in awe because I'd never seen a big fire like this. And in the back of the truck was the SCBAs, and in the suitcase, they're air packs, and they're putting them on, and they're struggling putting them on. And I didn't even know we had air packs and suitcases in the back of the truck. So I go back and try to help them put them on, but I was no help. And finally, one of them gets them on. He goes to the front door, and they tie a rope around him, and he goes into this house looking for this poor guy who was still in the house. And so he was in there a little while, and his low air alarm went off, and they pull on the rope, and he comes back out and never found the guy. And here I'm still at the truck trying to help the other guy put the air pack on. We never did get it on. That was just, now on the way to the fire, our SCBAs, our air packs are built in the seat, and you come out of the truck and you're ready to go. We practice putting all this gear on, and back then I didn't even know they had the things, let alone ever practice them.
So a lot of time-saving maneuvers and having the experience of testing and planning with your training, that helps out a lot.
Oh yeah, tremendous. It's so much better today.
And there's probably some of those accidents, and I would think that being a fireman, you go to some of these accidents and you see the fire is burning down their house or burning up their property, and you have to feel bad for the situation and what these people are going through, but you have to kind of fight your fire, and you have to kind of do your job too, and you also want to try to keep them away so they're safe, don't you?
Sure, and my metabolism is I don't get excited about trauma or big events or anything.
But I bet some people do.
Oh yeah, some people just kind of lose it, and they just kind of don't function correctly. But I've always been able to control my emotions and work right through stuff.
And I would bet that sometimes you have people come back to you after you've maybe saved a pet or saved a family member and come back to you and said thanks for coming and fighting the fire and helping out, and that's got to be a good feeling too. Sure,
the community really appreciates what you do for the community. I'm so happy that I live in Ellis, and the people are so polite and nice, and we get thank you cards, and people will stop you and say thank you. And the city government, the council and the mayor and the police department and the public works, they all support the fire department tremendously. So it's a great fire department.
You know, you said you earlier started with the city fire department, that you went to rural fire department after that. Is that right? Or did you do some rural fire department too?
No, I was on the city, and then 11 and a half years ago, about half of the city joined the rural fire department, so we were on 2 different fire departments at the same time.
Well, my question is going to go, do you see a big difference between the rural fire department and the city fire department, things that you fight, fires that you fight?
Rural fires, wildland grass fires are a whole different thing. No, you can't even hardly compare rural, grass fires versus structure fires. And some of the scariest things I've been on are the grass fires. You wouldn't think, it's just a little grass, you put a little hot water on it. I've been driving the truck and wheat stubble fire, and you kind of lose about where you are, and there's so much smoke you can't see, and you hear the fire, and it's really scary.
I would think it'd also be kind of scary too in some of these barns and these buildings that people have out in their rural areas. Some of the chemicals they might have out there, or you might worry that they have something in there like that if you're going in to fight a fire.
Right, and that's true on city too, because the structure fires, your houses have so much plastic in them and chemicals in your house. But the new legacy house built today is so much different than it was 30 years ago. It used to be out of wood, and now there's so much petroleum products or plastic in the house, your carpet to your cabinets, everything's furniture. It just burns so much faster.
So now you are retired from the fire department, so you have to get all that gossip and information from your son now, right?
He keeps me informed. There was 3 calls yesterday. So I went to work and I didn't know anything about it. And we had 3 of them. I said, holy cow.
You watch those old shows from the black and white era back in the 60s and 50s, and you see the firemen have to come out and they have to go up the tree and get a cat out of the tree. That was my question I wanted to ask you before we go here today. You ever have to go get an animal out of a tree?
We've never been paid for a cat in a tree, but it happens.
It happens.
Yeah, and we would surely come and help out.
Very good. Well, thank you for joining us today, and good luck in your retirement.
Well, thank you very much.
It's Dennis Vine, the retired fire chief of Ellis. I want to thank him for being our guest today on the forum, brought to you by Hayes Med. I'm Mike Kerner, and for Gary Shorman, I want to thank you for joining us here this week.
It's a beautiful day in our super high-speed internet great customer service neighborhood. Like you, this is where we live. In fact, our company is employee-owned, so it's our goal to improve the quality of life for everyone in our community by delivering faster, more reliable internet, clearer, more feature-laden phone service, quality TV channels, all with the level of customer service you'd expect from people who are your neighbors. Eagle Communications, our community connected.